He goes upstairs and trips in a do not stare and makes a sniffity sound. He's slow, it's Joe, everyone knows. Everyone wins, it's Sniffy, it's Sniffy, it's Sniffy. He's the one whose kid does blow. It's Sniffy, it's Sniffy. He prefers to sniff you if you're 14 or below. Well, I may not know jingles, but I do love me some humor. It's Freedom Roundup. All right, welcome to Freedom Roundup. I'm Sean Order, Executive Director of the Heartland Fund Incorporated. Joining me tonight is a motley crew of individuals. We'll start with my left, Mr. Greg Moody, former GOP Regional Director and political strategist.
What up?
Next, we have Dakota Worrell, Vice President of the Kansas City Young Republicans Group and Grassroots Coordinator.
Hey.
And Chris Chambers, campaign manager for the Jeff Coleman campaign and treasurer of the Jackson County GOP.
Hey.
So keep it the same. Next, we have Michelle Horner, Princess of Themyscira, president of the High Noon Republican Women's Group. No?
Wow.
Yeah,
I was just trying to think of the line last night during, the new
Justice League.
Do that mean I get a magic lasso?
What's the mascara?
The mascara. That's where Wonder Woman comes from.
Where
mascara.
Their mascara is where Wonder Woman is from. Didn't you know that? Don't you know your Wonder Woman theology?
She's from mascara?
No,
Themyscira.
Themyscira.
I don't think. I don't think women should be superheroes.
And last but not least,
I thought you were saying thin mascara.
No, Themyscira.
You got that on
Last but not least,
Well, you must be Democrat.
representative of the 32nd District of Missouri, and apparently tonight's designated babysitter, Jeff Coleman.
Holy cow! I thought you skipped me there for a second.
I just couldn't get it.
Whoa.
Hello,
Hey.
everybody. Hey! There it is, finally. All right.
Hey.
We have so much to cover tonight. It's not even funny, but we'll do our best. So first off, we wanted to take a moment and talk about all things important and local. So we're going to start off with Mr. Coleman and his slew of stuff. Let's talk first about the legislation related to school choice. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? What's coming down the pipe?
Ouch. That was a tough one. Holy cow! I'm a school board member, and we have this vote on the ESAs. And I actually have been a big fan of ESAs for some time because it's private dollars going into a special fund. And basically, it's there for low-income folks. And that's what people have to understand. This is not there for private school people that are already going to private schools to get more money to help them pay for their private schools.
Right.
This is simply to go to low-income folks who they're in underperforming schools. And I do know Pete Mundo, by the way, I did listen to you. If you hear this podcast, I want you to know I'm a big fan of going statewide. The pushback against statewide is simply, if you have rural areas, where are they going to go?
Right.
They don't have the options. Sure, they could go to a school that might be 2 hours away, and that's the biggest problem that we face on what are we going to do for those folks, because to his credit, we do need something for the people in the rural areas. Mm-hmm. And what this is for, again, it's for underperforming schools, it's for low-income people, it's for the 30,000 and above, not 50, but 30,000 and above populations, and a Class 1 charter for their cities.
Okay.
And so, again, if it's for those who have to get out or need to get out of the schools because they're not getting what they need in that school, at any rate, this is a bill that I think is a start. It's a good start. Would I like it to be for everybody? Absolutely. My kids, if I didn't like what my school district is doing, which I do like my school district here in Grain Valley. Blue Springs, and Oak Grove, all doing a really good job. But there are things that are seeping into our districts that we need to be concerned about, and those things need to be resolved. And if they're not, then we should have a choice, because it really begins with the taxpayer.
Right.
The taxpayer is the one who should be making the choice for their kids. They pay the taxes. The schools receive the taxes to help educate them, but it is the taxpayers' money, and they should be able to make those choices.
And that makes perfect sense. Michelle, you and I live in a rural area.
Yes.
You want to talk about how, because we moved from a high density population to rural. You want to talk about the rural schooling and what we've encountered so far?
Okay, so this year, Sean and me have moved from the independent school district, which is a very large school district, to a rural school district. We noticed one of my kids still attends the public school in Independence, and the others have transferred up to where we moved to King City. Now, people like Mondo said, well, it's not fair to these rural city kids because they supposedly get a better education. Well, they do. People need to understand, when you're in a very small school district, these rural school districts, the parents have control.
Because it's hard to hide.
It is hard to hide anything that is going on in the school district. These parents, if they found out that racial theory is going on, it would stop it then and there.
So let me play a clip what we were talking about. You mentioned Pete Mundo, and I have a couple clips to play if you guys don't mind.
Yep.
Well,
Go ahead. But I'm just saying, if you have ever been to one of these small schools, you would understand that the parents have total control of what is taught to their children.
So here we go from Pete Mundo's show.
And the bill says, just to kind of summarize it in a very base level understanding, it would allow education savings funds to exist, but it could only be used by students in cities of 50,000 people or more, 50,000 population or more. That's BS. And they got it. The only way they would get rural Republicans to vote for this was by putting that 50,000 person threshold on there. And that is complete BS by the Republicans down in Jeff City. Oh, no, this is only a Kansas City problem or a St. Louis problem. You either believe in school choice for everybody or you don't. This well, we're going to protect our rural schools. You're doing the same nonsense that teachers' unions are doing in urban settings. You're complete hypocrites. Complete hypocrites. These rural Republicans on this issue. Every single one of them is a hypocrite that voted for this bill only on the idea that I would get, it would not affect my district. Because, no, my district doesn't need school choice. Get lost. I mean, that's where everyone's bending over backwards for this bill, and they're hailing this bill down in Jeff City by Representative Phil Cristofanelli. No, it's not a fair bill.
Pete Mundo the other morning from the Brenda Talent interview.
Well, and he has to understand something, too. Guess who's going to be the most affected by those people pulling out of the big school districts? The smaller ones. Because they're going to start coming out of those big school districts and going to the smaller ones.
No, you're absolutely right, Michelle. If anything, people want to leave the Raytown School District. They want to leave the Kansas City, Missouri School District. Where are they going to go? They're going to go to Blue Springs, Lee Summit. They're going to go...
They'll go
as far as they can to get to a good school district. I know the Green Valley is 45 minutes away from Kansas City. They would drive out here for their students' education. Now, do you think they would go to
Can I
King City, maybe?
I was going to say, can I complicate it even more than that? With COVID, we've proven that
we can do online.
We can do online school. So now distance isn't a problem, right? Now you can do
homeschooling.
Spot on. Absolutely correct, Sean.
So, I mean, distance, where it used to be a problem because, if you couldn't go to the district, that at least stopped you, or you didn't have busing. Now it's, boom.
Well, let's first start out by just making a quick correction, because the population is 30,000, not 50. And that's quite a difference there, and we're right on the edge. Blue Springs is covered by this bill, so Blue Springs actually would be involved if somebody wanted to leave Blue Springs and go to a private school. They would be able to do so as long as they met the income requirements. Okay. So
Which are what?
The income requirement is the first level is 100% above free and reduced lunches. The next level is 200% above free and reduced. So the first level, I think it gets somewhere in the neighborhood of about $45,000 a year or less in income.
I think it's even less than that.
Yeah,
to
it
be
could be a
honest.
little bit less. And then the next level at 200% is right at 90-some thousand of income that you could make or less.
And the reason they use free and reduced is because that is still the only socioeconomic indicator in schools, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
See, I used to work at a school district too. So. Yay!
So I get what Pete's saying. I certainly would have loved to see that going statewide, but again, I got to come back to the fact that I'm going to contradict what Crest just said. There will be some students that their parents are involved, and they will make sure that they get wherever they need to go.
Right.
There are many more students
that won't
because their parents aren't involved, because this is
or they want them just to go to a school
because they're not
district
involved now. It's not going to change.
That's the whole point. It's a social economic issue, and the schools, we've tried to throw money at the issue, and it just doesn't work. So
you have to start somewhere.
Yeah,
and by
exactly.
taking money away and make it a competition a little bit, maybe they'll straighten their act out. But then you have the NEA involved, and that's a whole nother ballgame.
Yeah.
One last thing. Here's Brenda Talent speaking on school choice.
Our schools are funded by local taxes and state taxes. So first of all and foremost, education savings accounts not taking any public money and putting it into these scholarships. Yes, people are getting tax credits for that. Could that impact revenue for the state? Yes, theoretically it could. But the bottom line is, for the school district itself, it's having no impact whatsoever, in the sense of they'll still have their local funding, they'll still have their state funding, and to the extent that they, quote-unquote, lose any funds, first of all these schools have held harmless for 2 years. So bottom line is, like right now, we have schools that get to assume they have 94% attendance. Last year their attendance was down, but for purposes of determining the money they get from the state, they get a look-back period of 2 years. So they can act as if they still have the same number of students as they did 2 years ago. So that's number one. And number two is this whole notion of they're going to lose money. Well, you know what? Does that mean that no student can ever leave a school? Can you not go from Kansas City to Blue Springs? School districts are constantly having shifting populations. So again, they're not going to lose any funding.
So can you talk to us about that real quick, Jeff? They're not, what did she say, responsible for 2 years?
Well, if I remember the bill right, I know how it started out. And, excuse me, lots of things can change because it's still got to go through the Senate. But that bill originally started out with an amendment on it that said the schools will actually get funding on that student for 5 years, as though that student was still there. So if they lose a student to a private school, then they'll still get funded for the next 5 years, fully funded on the ADA and the local taxes. So to Brenda's point, the schools don't lose any money, and it allows them to be able to budget for their. I'm sorry, I got distracted by the kids.
It's parent night out again. In case anyone's wondering what the kid sounds in the background of.
They get 5 years to figure out what they need to do to budget for that loss of child, and who knows, during that 5 years they may pick up 2 or 3 kids for the loss of one. So the schools really have no argument on this.
Okay, and using loss of a child as our transition point, we're going to talk about transgender in sports. No, that's awful. Bad Sean. Bad Sean. No, we want to talk about the transgender, like a boy transitioning to a girl can compete in girl sports or vice versa. This has become a hot topic, and I already see people grabbing for mics.
Sean's getting canceled.
Yeah, I am getting canceled. Yeah. It wouldn't be the first time. I have been divorced. So
Not with the present wife.
yeah, not with the present.
Actually, guys, I have something to tell you.
Yeah.
I was once a male stuck in a female's body. But then I was born, so, we have that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
congratulations.
That was lame.
That just happened.
Oh, does that get a...
I do want to know what's going down on the Capitol on this,
Yeah.
because I know
Yeah, I
a
was
lot
gonna
of
say,
states
a lot of states are
are
picking this
now
up.
picking this up and making it against the law. So,
So Jeff, what can you tell us about that piece of
Yeah,
legislation coming out of the pipe?
it definitely got heard in committee. I don't know. I think that it passed out, but I might be wrong. It might have got killed in committee.
Okay.
But oh my gosh, this just drives me nuts, to be honest with you, because it is a known fact, and you can Google this. You can go where, maybe Google's not the place you want to go, but you can go and find out that there are over 200 male student athletes that are high school athletes that have better times in the 400 meter than the world record holder woman, the women's world record holder that has more medals than any other athlete. I'm not talking about just women. I'm talking about men or women.
Do proponents just not understand that there is one, there is a difference, and two, you're deciding on whether you're destroying women's sports or anything?
this whole transgender thing is to destroy women, period. Remember, Democrats didn't want women's rights to votes in the first place, just like they didn't want the blacks. So again, this is another way of destroying women and putting them back in their place, to me.
As a woman.
I mean,
Dakota,
to me,
Greg,
it's just totally destroying
Paper, rock,
women
scissors.
because now you're getting rid of women's sports. This is no longer women's sports.
Oh no, it can't be. It can't be.
You're no longer doing just like in Nevada, a transgender just won a Miss Universe pageant or something. Some pageant.
Oh no,
big
it was a preliminary. No, it was a preliminary.
Preliminary. Transgender just won.
So in case the feminists are
So
listening,
now you can't even be a beauty queen and actually be a female and win.
and in case the feminists are listening, men are even better at beauty pageants. Just saying.
Can't stop winning.
Can't stop winning. Yeah, no, but I mean, it boggles my mind. I'm not saying.
I just want to make sure real quick that was Sean.
Send your cancel text to Sean. Yeah, no, but I mean, the whole gender dysphoria thing aside, I'm not even going to touch that. I'm strictly talking about once we make the transition or even begin the transition, allowing them to participate in the other genders, because you don't see it. You only see it one way. Can I say that you don't see too many females participating in male sports, or at least I haven't seen near as many as I've seen.
No, because you had that
the other
one
way.
women wrestler that beat a whole bunch of men, but her dad was a professional wrestler. But I'm just saying, she was actually one. But and you see the football player, that's the one that's kicking, that's now in the NFL. But you don't see that many that are,
right the other way
around.
Right. Well, because you would be a C-level male player, but if you transition to a female, you're suddenly
So
A level, right?
What they've been doing, or what they've done and studied, is they've seen that even high school males running track or college track stars will beat Olympic female gold medalists in track.
Yeah.
It's just men are always
They're just stronger. They're
going
built
to be
different.
stronger
They're just built
because
different.
they are built different.
No, and it's like the women's soccer team. The U.S. women's soccer team was years ago. We keep talking about equal pay for equal work. The women's soccer team needs to be paid more. They were beat by a group of 14-year-old boys years and years ago. Men are just.
I did not realize that.
They're just.
Yeah.
I mean, I know this is sexist,
Like-
and it's obviously men are just. They're bigger, stronger, and they're better at the sports.
And it's not
And that's just a
sexist.
fact.
That's just
That's
all right.
just a fact.
But this goes back to them believing in science, them not believing in science. Because remember, they want to say trust the science when it comes to this COVID crap, but they don't want to trust the science when it comes to sex, when it comes to abortion, and when it comes to stuff that they disagree with.
Well, yes.
So they
Amen.
don't. And so this goes back to let's trust the biology and the science when it comes to sex. Sex, you are born a specific way. Your genetic code is going to still stay that genetic code.
No, it's a social construct.
Yeah, whatever. Believe me, my husband does not wake up in the middle of the night covered in sweat because he's going through flipping menopause.
That's actually not true. If she's close enough, I will have at least part of me covered in sweat.
But I'm just saying, you men don't go through that. You men cannot physically have children. Now, they sit there and have some transgender female that turned male, but she still has her female parts, get pregnant. So go, well, man got pregnant. I'm like, no, she's still a flipping female. I'm
she's
sorry.
got a uterus.
If she has a uterus, she's a female. Your boobies don't decide if you are a male or female.
Right. Your genitalia.
Your genitalia, if you cut it off, oh well, it still makes you male. It's your DNA and what you were born with.
And you have an X and a Y chromosome, or you have
X
an X
and Y chromosome.
That's just. It's
and
just
if you
biology.
still have your uterus, you're still female. If you want to make yourself an it, then you're an it. But you are either male or female when you were born.
Well,
But there are some hermaphrodites that are born both, or one or the other.
Yeah, but
so
that's-
those people are out of this conversation.
Right, that's not the same as
That's
somebody
not
deciding in their head.
what
Right.
they are. Just like that actress that now is a male and got her boobies cut off, and now she's a boy.
Well, the
Elliot,
thing,
whatever.
like
Still a girl.
The thing overall, like trusting the science and
I'm
whatnot.
sorry, this gets
you're,
me going.
You're passionate. You're preaching. But we love it. I mean, go for it.
Well, I'm a female, and they're literally getting rid. And my daughters are getting rid of us. They are getting rid of women and the need and the want of women.
Well, and like the science. I mean, if we're talking about the science, there's measurable things like in sports, like male bone density.
Yep.
Even if you are
You're muscular. The way your muscles are tested is completely
Exactly.
different.
your
than-
muscle mass, your bone density, all
density.
that stuff doesn't change just because you take hormones and try to transition. And that being said, even if you spend years of your life trying to transition, every cell in your body, like Greg just said, you have an X and X and Y chromosomes.
chromosome.
Every cell in your body will be trying to code for your birth sex.
Well, and the
for
thing is,
the rest of your life.
then you have the stupid health person that's still a guy but dresses as a girl and says he's a girl. I mean, he still has his parts. He's married, has a wife, and kids. And he's like, well, kids need to be put on hormone blockers. Do you realize they have not done enough studies on these kids that have put on hormone blockers, on the cancers and the cause these hormone blockers would do to these children? There's not enough studies on all that. They have done some studies that has caused cancer in these kids. But again, they don't care about the science.
Not to mention the fact that they're children and
Let kids be kids.
Let kids be kids. If they're not of the age of consent, let's put it that way, how could they possibly consent to changing their gender?
I know where you're going with this. I will always call it Bruce Jenner. I will call him Bruce Jenner every single time. I don't know who Caitlin is.
It just gets
So
me.
that was Representative Jeff Coleman on Kevin Keatsman has issues.
This is.
I'm sorry, Jeff.
Sorry,
I'm sort
go
of
ahead,
kind of
Jeff.
taking over this one for you. I'm just passionate. This is something I want to
We've
go
got
down.
we've got a lot of
child
daughters.
abuse. Well,
We
they
have a
do-
lot
it
of
is absolutely
daughters.
child abuse.
Our biggest
It
problem
is.
is we got daughters that are into sports, and they've already seen how they're kind of getting elbowed out.
Yeah.
Why do I want to why do I want to compete if I'm going to have to compete now against boys?
Boys.
Yeah.
Well, and then you got the other factor of when Biden has already signed an executive order, they're working on this new bill called the
Equality.
Act. And so if that passes, our schools today, another reason why I voted the way I did on the previous topic, our schools today are going to have to provide for or allow them to go into the opposite sex bathrooms. So I have, to your point, I have 4 daughters. 2 of them are fortunately out of school, but I have 2 that are still in school. And I do not want a male who thinks he's a girl coming into the bathroom or going into the locker room and taking a shower with my daughters.
because that's just
So-
all sorts of bad.
And when you go back to this, when you start talking to those people, it's all about the feelings. It's not about the facts. It's not about the science. It's about the feelings of these people who are confused. And if you want to be a transgender, then so be it. I don't care. But don't infringe on the bigger group of folks that have to deal with what you're going through. So do what you want to do. That's fine. Just don't make me change my livelihood or my life.
More
But
kind
that's
of a
what that's-
libertarian,
Right.
as long as it doesn't affect.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want to do, as long as and that's the
it affects
that's-
mine or your-
and that's
mine.
the problem that I have with it. It's become less about rights or helping the individual and more about forcing the collective to
So
accept
let's
or adapt.
talk about this real quick. You said it's kind of like the libertarian mindset.
Well, what Jeff was
Right. As long as you do you and leave me alone, right?
we're going to be fine.
Okay.
Right.
But look where it's gotten us now. It's you do you, leave me alone. But now it's creeped into you don't have a choice to be left
have to
alone.
accept- you have to
to accept this.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking
Even
about.
though it's the 0.1% of people in our society, how much does it actually affect everything? How much does it affect each one of
It
us?
affects us
in
a
our,
lot because
Right.
usually more and more because
It's affecting us so much. It's at a national scale right now. We're talking about this.
Well, and
on
I
a
do
podcast.
believe it's all the hormones that are in our food. I mean, our animals and the stuff that they're putting in. Because now you're having all this. Because you wouldn't believe how many transgender people we know, and we're just like going, nice people. We don't care. One is even my stepbrother, brother turned girl, and so I'm just like going, you shouldn't technically, mathematically know as many as we do.
Yeah, Michelle and I were talking about that.
We
just how
know
many,
6 or 7.
Yeah, and statistically, we shouldn't know
that.
many
But it
at all.
has something is going on in the environment or in our foods, or something is being done mentally to people to have them think this way. Because when we were younger, if you were gay, you were gay. I mean, I never thought. I know supposedly people beat gays in certain areas, but I
honestly,
never thought
it's
of
our culture.
it.
It's our culture.
But I just never thought of anything because one of my really good friends when I was in my 20s was gay, and I was like, woo, I loved hanging out with him because I knew he was not going to hit on me. We had the same likes. We used to go to bars together. We used to do all this stuff together, and I never thought anything of my ex-husband never thought anything of it. It was great. Now then they start forcing all this gay stuff in the gay weddings. And I'm like, okay, my sister's gay. Big deal. If you want to get married, get married. If you want to get divorced and be miserable, be it, like the married people. So, but I'm just saying, it's like they keep making these sinful, amoral things where they want to make them right. They want to make them moral in everybody's eyes.
Right.
Where
And-
bad is good and good is bad.
That's exactly what I was going to say, and the issue of like live and let live. Well, you're not allowed to live and let live anymore. It's what they're doing is they're inverting it. They're creating a new privileged class of people who now want to they get to impose themselves on everyone else. And the issue, I found an article somewhere that said that the head of the Drag Queen Story Hour organization was just arrested
In
for
Michigan.
possessing
Or
a
Wisconsin.
whole
Wisconsin.
bunch
It was
Wisconsin.
of child pornography.
Yeah, and he's a judge.
And if
Yeah.
So the question is like, okay, if you want to live your life and not be bothered by anyone,
That's
one thing. But it's not just that. It's you have to have Drag Queen Story Hour. You have to expose your kids to it, and you have to be okay with that, or you're a bigot. It's like it's not enough to just be left alone. It's now all of a sudden they want to impose. They want to impose it not just on us, but on the children for some weird reason.
Make it the new
And
normal.
it's even more weird that they want to go after children when the guy who's in charge of their organization gets caught with possessing child pornography. It just doesn't look right. I don't know. Maybe it takes a rocket scientist to get where I'm going with this.
Well, okay, maybe I put this in maybe a little bit perspective. They are doing all this transgender stuff with kids, okay? And then they are doing this child sex trafficking stuff. This child sex trafficking stuff has got to do with harming and molesting children, right? So if you make these kids, and they've already started doing the lowering the age of consent in California. So if you put these changing genders, you're now making them sexually confused and sexually more active at a younger age. You're now making pedophilia legal, and right in the sides of all these people. This is all about child molestation and all this. That's what all this is leading up to. This will eventually make having sex with minors and children legal. This will eventually all go to that.
I know we're running low on time, but to your point, Michelle, that has been a point for the psychologists for the last 15 years, I think it is. I've heard it 3 different times that, again, this used to be a sickness, and now they are looking at it as, well, we've done some studies on this, and we're not seeing the issues with the kids that have been with older people, and that maybe that's a real feeling for the adults.
Yeah, maybe that's okay now.
And maybe it's okay. Maybe because if it's not hurting the kids, and our studies show that it's not, maybe it's going to be okay.
Well, let me tell you, from a person that was molested as a child, let me tell you, it was not my choice. And I know a majority of women that I actually know have been molested, and believe me, was not their choice. And it has played a big role in those lives. So whoever those psychologists are that are doing this are doing it because they probably are molesters themselves, and they have not experienced it themselves. Because if they've actually talked to someone that has gone through that kind of stuff, I'm sorry, that just makes me so mad.
I was just going to say, remember, say 30 or so years ago, I think 20, 30 years ago, it's hard to believe that was that long, but remember when it was right-wingers who were always accused of, you moralist, you're pushing your morals.
You're pushing your Christianity on everybody. It's exactly
completely
flipped.
That bill that you talked about that the Democrats are trying equal rights actually punishes people for being Christian.
Well, if you have that pass, it's very likely that they'll end up making the Bible
illegal.
Absolutely.
But that bill, you're going to see a bunch of people get together statewide fighting that bill and doing the constitutionality of that bill, because that bill is so unconstitutional.
Yeah.
And I remember years ago when we were talking about gay marriage before that was legal, when you would say, oh, if you make gay marriage legal, there's a slippery slope. And you would be called crazy, you would be harassed, you'd be made fun of.
And here we are.
This is a slippery slope, and we've gone down it, and there's no going back.
No.
And that's why the Democrats have the fence around Washington, D.C. right now, because they know that the stuff that they're doing is so radical and that it's against our Constitution, that if the people actually were listening to what was going on, they would actually take charge back of the state capitol, because they know the people have a right at the federal level to take a charge and get rid of those people for going against our Constitution.
All right, real quick, last bit, and then we'll take our break. We want to talk about the update or more news on the property tax bill. Jeff? Yay!
Hey, listen, I'm really, really excited about this because we got that bill through our first committee hearing in Ways and Means. Awesome. It got through with no votes.
Oh, wow.
It went completely unopposed. Both Democrat and Republican, because truly this is a bipartisan bill. Yep.
Well, that's good, because my concern was that, and we don't really have this problem in Missouri, thankfully, but I was worried that perhaps the Democrats would worry about not getting that revenue. Even though in some of those cases, there's no way those poor people are going to be able to pay their 14,000% increase or whatever it was.
The thing that you have to realize about this bill is it's not taking any revenue away from anyone.
Right. It's actually making it so it's going to be consistent.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about it.
Everybody still gets everything they were getting prior. It just, from moving forward, the maximum that it can go up, your property values can go up by your assessor, is by consumer price index.
Right.
Which, if you look over the past 40 years, has been just under 2%. So let's take, for example, this next bill that we're going to be getting, and that most people aren't thinking about yet, but once they get it, they will absolutely love this bill. But in the future, the maximum amount would have been 3.8%, that your property values would have gone up.
Yeah, and that while painful is totally doable.
Yeah,
no,
absolutely.
That's
Everybody'd like to have it at zero,
yeah.
but unfortunately, that's in
not
today's
realistic and
world,
not-
we're not going to be.
Well, that's not the way our state is
Right,
set up. I
right.
mean, we can have that discussion
Sure.
later.
Right.
But right now, this is the way it's set up. We
Let's-
need to protect everybody.
Let's protect
on-
those who are on low income and Social Security, fixed income people.
let's make
it
sure-
affects everybody,
No,
but
it does.
those are the ones who we are targeting here.
Well, I'm
So-
very anxious to see that get
the-
through and get passed.
Yeah,
Because that's going to be huge.
The next step will be a rules committee, which I've been lobbying each one of those people, and it looks like we got enough votes to get it out of that committee, and then it'll go to the floor. And so once we get it to the floor, that'll be the big debate. Again, I've talked to most of the people on the floor, feel like I've got a really good opportunity to get it passed on the floor. And last week I started talking to the Senate.
Okay.
And
so does the Senate have a matching bill, or are they just going
No.
to take up the House one?
That's the interesting thing about this. There's no lobbyists behind this. There's no special interest group behind this. It's just me.
It's just you.
And there's
That's a good place to be, though.
This is Jeff's baby. I mean, this is his bill.
Well, I know we've been talking about this for a long time. That's why I'm
We have.
excited about it.
I mean,
'cause
this is something that he came up with because he's seen the need to help the
you
Missouri
have to.
residents.
You have to.
This
I mean,
is
you
his
can't-
baby, man.
You can't just say, "Oh, this sucks for everybody," and then pretend it doesn't exist. You have to do some action. So this is why it's so important and why it's, so great that Jeff has got this going. But so far, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So far in the Senate, what's been the reception there?
Everybody, the first thing they want to do is look at the bill and see what it says and make sure that it does what I tell them it does. But then once they've taken a look at it, they're very, very supportive.
Good.
So
Awesome.
I've talked to both sides, Democrat and Republican. Both seem to be receptive. We'll have to wait and see once they get there. The Senate is a different animal, and things can change quickly. But right now, it looks like we've got a good path.
Awesome. All right, kids, we're going to take a short break. When we return, we're going to be talking about the rollback, not of prices at Walmart, but of Trump.
I thought you were going to be. We're talking about Joe Biden rolling backwards on the tarmac.
He fell forward.
I led in with that. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. This portion of the podcast is sponsored by the Heartland Fund Incorporated, sponsoring issues and candidates that care. Appreciate the podcast? Well, it's expensive. Could we bother you for, say, a cup of coffee a month? For $5 a month, you can contribute to our grassroots effort. Donate online, day or night, at www.fundingtheheartland.com. Hello, sir or madam. We would love to hear from you. No, really, honestly. If you have any feedback, comments, or hate mail, or hate female, visit www.fundingtheheartland.com, or you can email us directly at media@fundingtheheartland.com.
That's what she said part in there?
No, that's...
Did you get the recent one in there?
All right. We're
Damn
ready.
it.
All right.
You're missing all the good stuff.
All right, that's what she said. See, now I'm doing it. Now I can't stop. All right,
That's what she
That
said.
is what she said.
it's gonna be a long damn night. No, no.
That is not what she said.
She says no.
Oh, holy crap! And see, so anyway, this is why we don't do a Facebook Live, folks, is because we get censored, and yeah, we'd get in trouble, and
That's what she said.
and that's stop it. Oh, welcome back to the Freedom Roundup. Our next topic is the continued Trump rollbacks. We got a couple topics here. Trump rollbacks, Trump changes, all sorts of fun. I'm going to throw the live grenade out first. We're going to talk about the border challenge. That was a change for the Biden the Biden administration. Sorry,
I think it's officially now a crisis.
it was a crisis because Jen made the myth. Yeah. Oh, that's
Jen,
right.
Jen did admit that
You can't say crisis. It's not a crisis. It's a challenge. It's a challenge.
Audio drop.
An expectation set outside of unrelated to any vaccine doses or requests for them, that they would be partners in dealing with the crisis on the border. And there have been requests unrelated that they for doses of these vaccines. Every relationship has multiple layers of conversations that are happening at the same time.
When you were talking a moment ago about diplomatic negotiations between the United States and Mexico, you said crisis on the border. Was that a
Challenges on the border.
Okay, but so that doesn't reflect any change in
Nope.
the administration's view of things.
Nope.
So yeah,
I
as
just
you can
said
hear,
there's a crisis, and wait a minute, I mean it's a challenge.
yeah, if you watch the video,
You didn't say circle back enough, but that was a damn good gin.
that was
Pisaki.
that was really good. That was really good, Jeff. No, you can actually, if you watch the video, you can actually see. Well,
crud.
It's a little hard with her dead eyes, but past the dead part, you can actually see the moment of Christ. What was that mean? That was mean. Anyway, so
If you can get past mine, I can't get past her stuttering. She stutters, not really stuttering, but she goes,
well, I'm just.
Is that worse than what Joe
staying
Biden
alive.
does? It's worse than what Joe Biden does. The stutters.
Yeah, it's not stuttering. It's just the
Well, they've got his Android program pretty well, so he doesn't
I mean,
stutter.
she's walking like across a landmine field every day, like
Oh, yeah.
trying not to say the wrong
Well,
thing.
because she doesn't really ask a lot of.
Well, that's how you get when you're so woke. You can't say anything.
You can't say anything anymore.
Right.
No, I agree that.
No, and that's where she lives, and the room, except for a couple landmines, is pretty much just cheerleading, right? So as long as she doesn't say the word,
What color are the
crisis-
drapes going to be in Air Force One? Give me a damn break!
So as long as she doesn't
They
step on
actually
that
asked that
landmine.
question?
Oh yeah. But I mean,
I
the moment she
can't
said that
stand
word, you can see the expression almost become like ice because she's like, oh, damn it. And then I would have loved to have seen the rest of the press room because they're all going, oh, dude, you said the word. Now what are we going to do? We have to acknowledge. Great.
She's just sitting there all the time. She's like, "Oh God, I'm going to get fired. I'm going to get fired. I'm going to get fired."
So you know how the left said how bad Sean Spicer was for us?
She's fantastic.
I mean, I'm going to say, I can't say this is our Sean Spicer because she is way worse than Sean Spicer.
I think she's fantastic. I think she is.
Oh, she's good for the left.
She is the gift. that
She's
keeps
good
on
for,
giving.
oh yeah, like AOC.
Oh, I want her.
I agree
up
with
there.
that.
That's what I mean. I want her every day up there speaking because whatever she's talking about,
She can't talk about
she
it.
can't. Yeah, well, she can, but she can't. All right, so the border crisis has gotten really, really super bad. Shocker. All of these poor indigenous folks walking up several countries wearing pre-made Biden let us in T-shirts, which I thought was fantastic.
On
provided
top
by
of,
Soros, I guess. I don't
they're
know.
still overweight, have, $1,000 cell phones on them.
They have COVID though.
And they have
50%.
over 50% have
50%
COVID.
have COVID. But guess what? We're not worried about those people.
Or we're
Yeah, I
making
was
them
gonna
wear
say,
a mask.
You wear a mask in Walmart? Yeah, I know.
I wear a mask. Gonna be two because I work on federal
masks.
property.
Oh,
Yeah.
They're legit going to make you wear 2 masks.
they are literally.
So
wearing
not only
them.
that, if your mask falls below your nose, they will write you up or terminate you depending on where your mask is on your face. Wow.
That is insanity.
That is insanity because our fat ass overweight general that runs this place, I can say that because I highly doubt he's listening. He's a lefty.
Yeah.
He got it and was put on a ventilator, so he goes, everybody's got to wear a mask.
Well, I can.
Okay, thanks, but
see-
I'm healthy. I mean, okay, I'm fat, but I'm
You've already had it.
35 years
You've
old.
already had it. You've already had it.
I've had it. I have, yes. I have the antibodies. So,
I got it wearing a mask while you were wearing a mask.
producer Becky is saying we got it wearing a mask. I got it at work wearing a mask also. So,
Yeah.
anyway,
it's-
point
it's
being,
just
really.
insane. Yeah, no, he really did. He really did.
They work, the masks.
Yeah,
They
oh,
work.
oh, they work fantastic. In fact, if you look at the package, and we had this in one of the previous podcasts, you look at some of those cloth mask packages, it says not for medical use.
So point being, they're the Dems, the left, they're scared of COVID. Everybody wear a mask. Dr. Fauci wants to make sure that you got a double mask. We don't know when we're going to open up the economy. We don't know when we're going to open up anything else. You guys got to stay in your house, lock in your basement. We got to make sure everything's safe. Let all the Mexican immigrants come in, though. We won't worry about. Oh, it kind of does sound like the.
I'm so glad
The
that
voice box.
we literally
But so-
live in a different country.
We do. I mean,
no,
so-
we do. We do. We,
Oh,
we,
up in Gentry County.
Up in Gentry County, we actually have a restaurant where you can go in like it used to be. I'm not kidding. There's a waiting
No
area.
social distance, no
social-
masking.
No.
No, there was no social distancing in St. Joe when we went to another restaurant. I mean, we had to wear the mask walking in, but
But that
I
was
walked
just-
out. I didn't wear my mask, and no one said anything to me.
You know, Dakota, when we all went up there to Gentry County to do one of the podcasts up there at Sean and Michelle's house.
At the Horner compound.
At the Horner compound. We walked into Casey's and we had our masks, right? And he goes, "What the hell are you guys doing? You don't have to do that stuff up here."
Yeah, I'm not old enough to remember the days before having to go into a restaurant with a mask.
We
or without a mask.
actually, and I'll do this quick story, and then we'll get back on the Trump rollbacks. But we actually bumped into a nurse at
The
Walmart,
St. Joe
Walmart, and we were not wearing.
And she
our mask.
works on the COVID
And she works
unit.
on the COVID unit. She was not wearing her mask, and she goes,
We acknowledge each other. And we're like, yeah, nice to see your face.
I went into my doctor's office not too long ago, and I overheard them making fun of a guy who had just walked out who was wearing one of the face shields.
Oh, God.
Like the people who wear the shields because they
Yeah.
think it's better, or they can get away with, they can still show their face and not wear them. I don't know why they do it, and it looks nerdy and geeky as hell. But the people in the doctor's office were making fun of the guy for wearing it because they were saying it didn't work. It's useless.
Well,
Well,
the
the
mask
masks
doesn't
are
work
just-
either. I was going to
just-
say the
they're
mask
just as
doesn't do what
useless.
unless you're wearing one of those N95s. I don't want to hear it. And then not only do I not want to hear it, but when you take it off, I want to see you do it properly. And no one
and dispose of it properly.
yeah, no one does any of that stuff.
Well, I mean, my thing is like the N95s, yeah, but like, can anybody point me to any data that shows that the these masks reduce COVID, specifically COVID?
No.
Reduce
No.
the
They
spread
can't.
of COVID.
And this lady that works on the nurse that we saw at the Walmart,
She was super nice.
She was
We talked
super
to her.
nice, and we were just like, how nice was to see her face. But she works on the COVID unit, and she goes,
It's
it
a
was
joke.
all about money. She goes, there was no one really on the unit. She goes, she said she had a mask up, but she goes, they don't work.
they don't do anything.
They don't do anything.
It's supposed to make you feel safer.
Yeah,
At
it
most.
is. No, it is literally to a scare tactic and to make people go, "Oh, you don't have a mask." So what was that movie? The body of the body snatchers, and you go, "Oh, body snatchers." You know, remember when they pointed because you weren't, an alien, and
Well,
they pointed.
here's a-
It's basically the same thing.
Here's a question for you. Why then does the dentist wear a mask?
They wear a mask because you
So you don't-
spit on
Because when they
people
drill
and your
and the-
body fluids.
Yeah, what about the ladies that do my nails at the nail shop?
Have you not smelled?
You get your nails
Okay,
done?
I get my
Don't
nails.
judge me.
I get my nails done. Okay, they wear masks because when they file these nails down, there's a lot of dust particles.
those
that
particles
fly-
will be caught
but
by the
those are
mask.
caught in the mask, so they're not inhaling the dust particles through the nails. I know I get my nails done. So, and my nail guy goes, "You should be wearing a mask so it doesn't go up your nose either." And I'm like, he goes, "It doesn't help the smell." He goes, "But at least it will help the dust particles."
Well, the other thing is that I'm so excited about people getting their vaccines. Oh, wait a
Population
second.
will be like really down in the next couple of years.
Wait.
You mean their mRNA testing?
Well, the thing is that
Injection?
Fauci says we still have to wear a mask even though you have your.
Do the voice, Jeff.
Yeah, I can't do it. But
That's really good.
I can't do it. But why are we getting the vaccine if we still have to wear the mask? I mean,
It's all about control.
it's just
There
incredible.
is
And
no
fear.
incentive to get
No, there's
the
absolutely not.
vaccine.
Why do I want to
There's no
get?
incentive to take the mask off or to stop the social distancing to get back to normal if you get the vaccine.
Well, in the EU, just said no with the vaccine and the vaccine passport and stuff. They said, no, we're not going to do the
That's
vaccine
the only thing
passport."
I've seen come out of the EU that was actually
Actually good. It's like, nah.
It's like, holy cow, where did that come from?
Yeah. Because in Europe they actually have correct statistics on people that have taken the vaccine and have had side effects very bad.
So I know we talked about this before, Jeff, but I wanted to ask you specifically. You talked about a bill where we were going to take away some of the control that local health folks had. Where are we on that?
Yeah, that actually just passed the House floor last week before we left on. Yeah, before we
that's
left.
why I want to check. Since we're talking about this and we're all pissed off about these stupid masks. Yeah, no, that's all I wanted. I just wanted an update.
We're talking a lot of really,
supposed to be the Trump rollback section, and we got stuck on our
there's
masks.
going to be so much he's rolling back in the next couple of weeks.
It's awful.
We're going to be talking about this next few.
The border crisis. We're agreed. It's just a dumpster fire at this point.
Is that what we were talking about?
Yeah, we originally talked to that. We transitioned. They had 50% COVID, and then we started talking about how sucky the mask thing was. So the next thing I wanted to get to everyone's input on was the fact that they're gung ho about getting rid of the Trump tax cuts, and how that's going to.
It's because your leaders hate you. I mean, that's it.
I mean,
your leaders hate you.
I mean, you've got
they don't like the American people.
You got a sluggish economy. You've got, these stimulus checks that we're getting $1,400, but it's costing us $5,700 long term. which if I went to, let's just talk about that for a minute. If I went to like Quickie Loan, and somebody told me that, I wouldn't. I'm
glad
take the loan.
you're bringing this up.
I wouldn't take the loan. But boy, howdy, if a check magically shows up in my direct deposit, I'm like, woo! I could buy a big screen TV that's going to cost me as much as a freaking car.
You're not supposed to think ahead. You're only supposed to think in the moment. You're getting free money right now. Don't think too hard about it.
I got my check. Shut up and wear my mask.
Yeah,
exactly.
And plus, don't think about the car because look at the gasoline you have to put in.
That's
cow.
Yeah. So we've been watching that up in Gentry County, and I have not looked down here. But when you guys were there, when you guys came up for the podcast several months ago, and this is back when Trump was in office, it was what, $1.90 or was it $2.10? It was like right around $2, $2.09, something like that.
Yeah, in some places it was $1.90.
It was $1.99. Yeah,
I
right
remember
$2.
we got gas around there. It was less than $2.
I remember it was
less than $2.
You guys. So guess what it was when we left today?
Was it $2.50?
$2.69 at that Casey's.
Wow. Nice.
At that Casey's. So we're really enjoying that.
I'm like, I woke up back in 2017 when I lived in California.
No, it's true. It's true. It's awful. And everyone's going, well, that can't be anything that Biden did because, he's not really done anything except shut the spigot, turned off the giant spigot that was being formed and that was going to reduce costs and shut down exploratory and, shut down fracking and everything else. I mean...
Oh, but I'm not going to do that. We're not going to shut down fracking.
No.
We're not going to close the pipeline didn't really do anything for us, but we're not going to shut anything down.
No, but it was going to be one of the branches. One of the branches was going to come into
directly to Missouri.
Oh.
That's why Eric Schmidt is one of the 21 state
Going
AGs
after him.
going after him.
Somebody needs to go after him.
Yeah, something.
Well, you're going to see him.
They need to go after him and President Kamala.
President Kamala. Yeah, Biden
Well,
said.
remember, she was sworn in after he was, and that's the first time in history that the president was sworn in before, or that was done in the opposite order. She was sworn in before him. Wasn't it like normally the president's sworn in first and then the vice president, but it was done the opposite way around?
I never noticed that. Everyone's looking up. I'm like, I don't know.
You have to look it up because normally the president is sworn in first and then the vice president, I do believe in it, but I think she was sworn in before he was.
I know in Missouri the governor's sworn in last.
But it was the opposite way. It was done the opposite.
Whatever it was.
It was done opposite, and there was a big to-do about it, and then all of a sudden it just stopped. But
I just know that the Harris administration has been working hard
to destroy America.
and now that she's president, according to President Biden, or
former president.
But remember, he's
Yeah.
a puppet.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
gosh.
vice president and then the president.
So can we talk?
But I think Kamala, he was first and then she was. They reversed the order this time.
Speaking of things that have changed, let's talk about the. We had mentioned about all the changes that have taken place, the tax increases which are going to affect small businesses, all this jazz is going to be rolled back. You're already seeing large corporations change their behavior back to the Obama. And the thing in point I want to bring up, the big one was Ford's change of thought, moving the new factory from the factory working or model or whatever they were planning on doing in Ohio back down to Mexico.
This makes me so mad. Very good, Alex Jones.
That was
Lou Ferrigno, Alex Jones.
that was frighteningly awful, is what that was.
So on that point,
No, but I mean, it's and it got very little attention. It's like, no, this is only the start.
remember the magic wand that Trump didn't have?
Yeah, that didn't have that. Apparently, he did, and now
And
it's
he
gone
did,
away.
and we brought jobs back to America. Guess what? Under a Democrat administration, what's going to happen?
Apparently, all the jobs are
All the
gonna go
jobs
away.
are leaving America. And unbelievable, the UAW, the union
Yeah, this
for
this
the
was
auto
amazing.
workers, unbelievable. Very, very hardcore Democrat. These guys are upset about it. You know, all these jobs are leaving America, going. We're seeing it first with Ford.
Yep.
Going down to Mexico.
And you know it's only the first.
It's the first of many coming, guys. Keep an eye out for this.
Well-
You're going to see stuff going to China. You're going to see it going to Europe. You're going to see it going to Mexico. You're going to see it going to Canada, where they have business-friendly, corporation-friendly workforces out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So, Dakota?
for all these union people that voted for Biden, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah. No,
You don't get any sympathy from me. You
No.
get
We
you
talked
get-
about this,
you-
though, Dakota, on the last podcast, or maybe you did on the Kevin Keatsman podcast, Mr. Coleman, because myself, being a union worker, a lot of the people that I work with, they voted for Donald Trump because they realize this guy's going to put jobs back in America. This
Yeah.
guy is not only going to put jobs in America, they're going to save them money on their paycheck.
Yeah.
They're
You
the
get to
working
keep more.
class. They're
Yeah.
the middle class. They're the blue collar worker looking for safety in their neighborhoods. They're looking not only
Yeah.
for safety, but the tax cuts.
Are we good?
Yeah, but the UAE, the
I was on a roll, guys, sorry.
the United Auto Workers, it's so left. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, all that sounds nice, and I know there were a lot of really great union guys that voted for Trump and are good people. But there are also a lot of union guys who are Democrats who voted for Biden, and you get what you deserve. And I don't want to hear it. I mean,
Are we going to start seeing unions and workers flip? Is this because we kind of saw it with Trump before? We're going to start seeing that flip.
I think you already have. I think that a vast majority, I shouldn't say that. You have at least, I think, a 50% ratio of Democrat, Republican in the union workforce. It's not really the workforce that we're seeing is the issue. It's the upper management. It's the higher end people that
You're hitting it
constantly,
right there, Jeff.
they constantly go for the Democrat side of things. We had a Republican who voted against right to work up in North Kansas City. He lives up in
North Kansas City, Clay County.
Clay County, which is where the Ford
Ford
is,
plant,
right?
yeah.
Yep.
And he was
Como,
he worked with the unions. Sorry about that, guys. He worked with the unions constantly, and was what he thought was liked by the unions. But when it came down to the very nuts and bolts of everything, and he was up against another Democrat, they went and supported the Democrat against him, who had always supported him. So
of course they did.
that just goes to show you why you have this battle constantly between the Republicans and the unions.
Yeah, and that's the part that I just don't get. I'm hoping that this is the beginning of the switch. I'm really hoping, because I saw a lot more grassroots blue collar, what I would call the old blue dog Democrats, who were like, why in the world would I vote for anyone on the Democrat side?
Right.
A lot of those guys didn't vote Republican; they voted for Trump.
Right. No, and that's what I mean.
And they're not just going to all of a sudden flip. There are I've talked to a lot of these people, right? I've knocked a lot of doors, hundreds of doors. So I've talked to a lot of these guys. A lot of them are Republicans now. They've seen the light. They've seen the writing on the wall. They understand where their interests lie now.
Right.
And they're rational people who know how to think and use their heads. So of course they've made the right decision now. There are also a ton of guys who still will vote Democrat, who will threaten you, chase you off their porch for even saying the word Republican around them, threaten to stick their dogs on you. And I've had this happen to me. There's no talking to them. There's no reasoning with them. They're going to vote Democrat because their union boss told them to, and that's just it.
Hey, Dakota. I mean, being a blue-collar union worker myself here,
Yeah.
I think I have a little bit to say about this.
I know you do.
I might have a lot to say about this.
Sure.
So you're right. There is a very small. Where I work at Lake City. Okay, we make ammunition for the U.S. military. So by nature, we're conservative people. There's over 1,200 people out there, and probably 1,000 people out of the 1,200 are conservatives, right? We've seen a huge spike out there in membership with even the Democrat voters, union voters. They voted for Donald Trump because of his policies for the workforce policies. I mean, honest to God.
I don't disagree, Chris. Like, you're one of those people that I've talked to who is a union guy, who is conservative, you're Republican. Haven't you been a lifelong Republican, though?
But I have. I've been a lifelong Republican, but I'm also talking about people that voted Democrat in the past.
Mm-hmm. Well, they don't have a place in the Democrat Party.
They don't. They don't have a place. They don't like the wokeism of it.
Nope.
All they want to do is go to work, feed their family.
I saw this. I actually saw exactly what you're talking about in 2018, and Independence where I'm from, knocking doors in Independence. That's exactly what I saw. They didn't feel like they belonged anymore with the stuff that was going on. This was during the Kavanaugh.
So where did they go?
Hearings. They
held their breath and went to the Republican Party.
Well, some of them
but what
did.
they're seeing is the good qualities of Trump, and if this is the thing also, I want to tie this in. If the Republican Party holds on to the values that Trump brought in, then we can secure the blue-collar union vote also.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's true, but I know we have to get off, but I do believe that you're seeing a lot of the rhinos, the old Republicans back in
the establishment.
The establishment is now getting out. So you're seeing Blunt leave. Those 10 that voted to impeach Trump. Every one of them are going to lose their seats, and they know it.
They're going to.
They know they're going to lose their seats because they're all being challenged, and they've been censored, so they probably will not be able to run for their
censored.
seat. Censored
Yeah,
and stuff. But they have challengers that run against them.
This is a major realignment, a political realignment. This only happens every so often in American politics. Back when the Whig Party imploded and the Republican Party took its place. I think we're seeing a shift that huge happening right before our eyes in American politics.
I do too, because I think you almost have to.
I just want to say, mark my words right now, none of this is going to matter unless we have voter reform.
Oh, I agree.
So HR 1's out of question.
HR 1, but I think HR 1, states are going to challenge it because
They've
it goes
seen
against
what
them.
happened in 2020. They've seen how it worked, and now they want to put that son of a bitch back into law.
Yeah, they want to make it into law, and you're going to have states fight that. You're going to have them fight and fight a lot.
They enjoy the single-party system in California and have for decades. They want that nationwide.
But look, Greg.
And China's already
let's talk onto this.
We do not want what happened in California happening nationally.
And why? Why is that, Greg?
Well, I mean,
where are you from, Greg?
Well, for those of you who don't know, I'm from California. I'm from San Diego originally, and if you want to $2,000 a month apartments, $5 a gallon gasoline. Keep it up. Keep doing what we're doing. But
I don't
if
see how
you
people can afford it and stay there. I just.
That's why. I mean,
And that's why homelessness is so prominent there.
I mean, you have a lot of homeless there, and people are leaving. People are leaving the state. I left the state. I know most people, young adults around my age, they're leaving. So,
Yeah. And it's really funny with all this going on with the Biden administration and what they're doing. China came out today and said that they're winning and that they are defeating America. They're just
not
joining.
just that, they black-eyed our what do they call it? Group of diplomats that met them in Alaska. Did you?
Yeah, they actually said that they are winning and that they will defeat
so
America.
Bad because they're supposed to only speak like 2 minutes. The guy spoke for 15 and basically went with our delegation. That's it, delegation. Our delegation's like, we didn't know they were going to talk bad about us. Surprise.
I'm slightly concerned about that just because I know China has, by ship count, they have the largest navy in the world now.
Yes.
They're masculizing their navy. We're demasculizing.
We're demasculizing. I mean, Biden gave that.
And that's what China wants. Yeah. China wants us to demasculate our men, so we have no one to fight for us.
Well, I mean, this might be a little off topic, but I mean, it's just like I think back to the Lincoln-McClellan election. What would have happened if McClellan won? And the Reagan-Mondale, what would have happened if Mondale won? To me, this is like, what if Trump lost? And we're living like the what if.
The other way around. The bad way. Yeah. Because it's like, what I found fascinating was the Biden administration is like, what do you mean we're not respected? What?
Well, and even Russia and Putin knows he stole the election. Putin knows
absolutely
that this is false. He knows it, and he's calling Biden out on it, and that's why Biden doesn't want to even debate it because Putin will call him out on it. You lied. You cheated. You're not legitimate.
He's already called him out.
Yeah, but he's going to call it out live in front of everybody.
Yeah, well, it's never going to see the light of day because Biden cannot talk without a prompt.
You're going to see a war of some form with Russia if he doesn't do it.
No,
he's already threatened it. Putin is. I would not put anything past Putin. And you guys are you're saying this guy is going to let everything just go. I don't think that's going to be the case.
No, I think you're
because he called him a killer and totally lied about him, and he's not going to take it.
No, I don't believe that Putin would risk the Russia thing because remember, we still have the old Cold War agreement with China, and so that would be starting a war they wouldn't win. But
it'll be a different kind of war. It would be a different kind of war than you think. It's not like a man-on-man combat. It'll be something else that you're not expecting.
You're like talking like the second Cold War kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that makes more sense, I think. Well, all right. So we're gonna have to skip over what I wanted to briefly mention. We'll save it for next time. Maybe the next podcast we're gonna do.
We got like. Do you think we could do it in 5 minutes? Slip it in.
I don't know because that D and I.
Say it.
Go ahead.
That's what she said.
Okay, thank you. So the last piece I want to talk about was the D&I report that talked about the greatest threat to our nation. Was ready for this? White nationalists.
You mean Trump voters?
Trump voters. So what I found fascinating was if you read the D&I report and kind of got into it a little bit more, it specifically mentions disenfranchised, extreme right-wing folks that were members of yeah, we're getting some sort of feedback right now from one of the electronic devices. There just went off.
It sounds
So
like
somebody's-
the microwave going is what it sounds like, but it's not.
But it's not the microwave. All right. So anyway, they came out with this report. They came out with this thing, and they specifically mentioned that these white nationals were a threat because they were organizing into militias. And
That's part of our Constitution.
well, not part of our Constitution. Michelle and I were discussing this. specifically diametrically opposed to what's written in the Declaration of Independence. Right? When it says specifically that we have a right
To form a militia.
well, no, not to form a militia. We have a right to depose if necessary, right? It literally says a right.
The right to revolution.
Yeah.
This goes all the way back to John Locke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was interesting that they specifically cited that as a no-no in the DNI report. So you and your right wings with your AR-15s, it just seems like the Dems were setting up two things. One, a continuation of making sure that no more than, a couple people can get around each other and no closer than 6 feet. And that B, we have yet another excuse to get rid of your AR-15s because you can't form a militia.
Well, not only that, so that you do literally whatever you're told, even if it makes no sense.
Right.
It's obedience.
Yeah, that's what it seems like to me. Oh, maybe it's my mic. Anybody want to wrap a bow on anything else, or I want to give Crest time to talk about Lincoln Days real quick.
Yeah, so Dakota and I have been working on the annual Reagan Lincoln Day dinner for Jackson County Republican Party
In Missouri.
in Missouri.
It's going to be huge.
Huge. So yeah, we cannot do that anymore without Trump. Huge. So we're going to have, if you guys go to the website at jacomo.gop, that's JACOMO.GOP, JACOMO.GOP.
There you can get tickets if you wanted to get come to Lincoln Days. Either right on the page, Reagan Lincoln Day dinner page on the website. You could buy your tickets through the website.
But Dakota, I happen to know somebody that has a political action committee that would think about having a table. How would I get them involved as well?
So we have.
Well, that's great.
It's great that you ask, Sean. Crest, take it away.
So if you know somebody that's going to donate over $2,000, we're going to actually send them to the Heartland Fund. Is that the question you're trying to ask, Sean?
Yeah.
And how would they donate to the Heartland Fund? Because we have a link on here to go to the Heartland Fund to donate over $2,000. Because guess what, guys? This is what happens when the Democrats in Missouri start passing
crazy legislation.
Start passing campaign finance reform legislation. So it makes darker money darker, but this isn't dark money at all. Anyway, going on to the point, if you want to donate over $2,000, please go to, Sean?
fundingtheheartland.com/contribute.
And you can do it there. We will still track donations, put you guys in the program. But if you go to jacomo.gop, the basic level ticket to get in for dinner, plus to see our guests, Mark and Patricia McCluskey, the couple from St. Louis, the gun couple from St. Louis.
Couple.
You might know them when Antifa broke into their neighborhood and they were standing out in their
fantastic
stand their ground law.
Yeah, they're fantastic speakers.
They're going to be there, plus a host of other elected officials, including Mr. Representative Jeff Coleman. And we have a special guest we can't announce yet due to security reasons, actually. Greg Moody says, it is me. So really wish you guys would show up. Please purchase a ticket one more time. Jacomo.gop, JACOMO.GOP. And what this really does is all the donations will help us later on in the 2022 campaign season to keep our office open and to throw more events like this to get everybody involved.
So that's coming up. And when is that coming up?
It's going to be on April 17th. Our MC for the night is going to be none other than KCMO Talk Radio, Pete Mundo. He's going to show up. And
Is he still going to show if we just,
oh, you know what?
corrected
We
him?
just kind of cracked on him earlier, didn't we?
Yeah, we sort of
He's
did.
got broad shoulders.
No,
He'll be
he
fine.
does.
He does.
He's a good friend of ours.
We'll
So
get him
we're
on-
friends of the show.
We'll get him on on this podcast eventually.
So the deal is, he says, I want to come on your podcast. I have a stipulation. My wife has to have her baby.
Okay.
And we're going to have to wait
Okay.
a little bit afterwards.
Did you tell him that
Because he wants to drink with us.
No, that's fine. I'm just saying that
Because
if they
he's doing
bring
the right
if they
thing.
bring the
Aw.
infant,
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that it'll be passed around to all the different.
All the other women.
Yeah.
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 All the other moms here.
Yeah.
Why not? Our kids will play together with him,
Yeah.
with his kids.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Anyway, sorry.
there we go.
We're really off track. All right, so with that in mind, it is time to call this one done. On behalf of myself, Greg, Dakota, Cress, Jeff, and Michelle, we'll call it one in the can. See ya.
See you, Sean. Bye.
Bye.
Brought to you by the Jackson County Republican Party. Contribute at jacomo.gop. That's JACOMO.GOP. And promotional considerations given by Heartland Funding Incorporated, helping promote traditional values and candidates. Contribute at fundingtheheartland.com.